I think we're warming up. We're warming up out there. Greetings and salutations to all the people of the world. You are watching and or listening to the Who Moved My Freedom podcast, the most prolific Second Amendment, freedom, entertainment, fun-loving podcast on the face of the planet. I want to remind everyone to go to hankstrange.com, sign up for our email list there. Lola's working on that. She's got Lola's deals. You guys can click through there. Also, we are members of U.S. Law Shield, and you can also become members if you sign up for an annual membership through our link. You can save some money, and also a couple of those shekels will come to us and help us do what we're doing here. There is a link right now in the chat of this video that you guys could see. I'm not putting that in the description on YouTube because all of that stuff's making troubles and all kinds of things out here, so we're trying to figure that out. But it is on hankstrange.com. So also, you know, you guys can support us on Patreon. That's very welcome. Thanks to all the folks who support us on Patreon. We appreciate that. Big shout out to Barnauls for sponsoring the show, makers of performance steel case ammunition. I got some of it here. I got some 300 blackout. I don't know. Let's see if we can get that to focus. 300 blackout. Barnauls. That's how you're supposed to say it. So that's why I'm saying it like that before people start getting real mad at me. We got some 9mm subsonic Luger. Come on, focus in. Where is it? Where is the focus? It refuses. It doesn't exist. Do it. Do it, you camera. Okay, no, it's not going to do. Boom. There it goes. Oh, there it goes. All right, so listen. Let's, big thanks to those guys. Let's get this started here. It's going to be a fun show. Let me, kick off the open right now.
Welcome back to the Hank Strange Situation.
All right, guys, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, smash the thumbs ups, ring the bell so you can be notified when we go live. Is Walter going to ring the bell? I don't know. Oh, there he goes. Boom, boom. We are live. Okay, so we've got Mike of CMMG here. He doesn't know this. We do this thing called jazz hands. It goes like this. Everybody has to do it, no matter how tough and badassery they are. There you go. Mike's doing it. Walter's doing it. Everyone has to do it. That's our icebreaker. We are taking it back from the tourists. Not the tourists, but well, you guys get it. We're taking it back from those guys. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on because this is going to be a fun show. This is episode 794 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. As I said, our guest is Mike ODell of CMMG joining us. Mike, what's up? Welcome to the show for the first time.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. It's great to finally be on.
Yes, man. Hopefully it's not the last time. We'll see. We'll see how everything goes.
You're like that Mike guy. I don't think we're going to have him on again.
No, I doubt it. You're awesome. I'm pretty sure you'll be back here. It's us that I worry about. It's actually Walter Keller of Safety Harbor Firearms. He is the troublemaker always, and he's here joining us. What's up, Walt?
It's Wednesday. Wacky Wednesday. There we go. Wacky Wednesday.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Wacky Wednesday. Oh, that's...
Wednesday already.
Yeah, hey, look at
it.
Is. Okay. You know, buy ammo.
Oh, Barnauls, bro. Okay, you got a Barnauls shirt on. Let's start with the shirts. Okay. Respect to that. Walter's got the Barnauls. Let's see. Mike has a nice CMMG shirt. There you go. See. Right. There you go. CMMG shirt. Here, I'll show off my shirt. Let's see if anyone can see it. Can you guys read that, what that says?
Noisosaur?
Vanosaur. You know, Vanosaur. Like connoisseur or see, there's like a dinosaur eating a van. This is my shirt. This is a Stranger Palooza shirt that folks can go out there. So, Mike, I don't know if you know this, but I have another YouTube channel called Stranger Palooza, and it's where we do all the car stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And Mike, you don't know it, but all of Hank's shirts, you have to be deciphered first before you know it.
I'm deep, man.
As long as somebody can try to hit that before I do, because
I go deep. Next level mathematics. No, not really.
Lots of code.
Yeah. So Vanosaur comes from, you know, this guy. There's a guy I know on the van side of what we're doing, and he was like, you know, you're kind of like a connoisseur of vans. And I was like, that sounds awesome. Like a Vanosaur. Boom! Just brilliance. Just genius. Like the kind of brilliance and genius that you don't even know how genius you're being. No one gets it though.
Still trying to figure it out. Okay,
You
that's
know,
all right. Sorry.
connoisseur. Like,
I get it. I'm a connoisseur of fine
yeah, yeah,
firearms. Yes, fine
exactly.
firearms.
Me too. Me too. And there's also like dinosaur, and I was like, dinosaur. Okay, if you have to explain it.
I've been called that too. You know?
Yeah, but we're talking about shirts, Mike, and I have saved this shirt from the IV 88
I say, are
event.
we about to see a blue shirt?
Yes. There we go.
Oh,
Look,
you haven't even opened it yet.
I am just now opening this. This was actually the coolest shirt at the event. No, I'm not just saying that
Thank
because
you.
you're here. Look at that. There you go. KoolAid. I drank the CMMG KoolAid. Boom. Who came up with it? Who came up? That should be the first question to Mike right there. Who came up with the idea for that?
We have well, actually, I think the whole KoolAid thing initially was going to be a SHOT Show concept. Like, we were going to have, like, hopefully, a lot of things didn't quite happen in 2021 like we'd liked them to in late 2020. But we were hoping to have, like, a get-together at SHOT Show where we literally had, like, actual packets of KoolAid to have some people out. And since that didn't happen, we figured one of the best times to do that would be an event like that, because due to possible licensing issues, we can't sell those things. So
I was going to say, did you
okay.
get a cease and desist?
No,
like Brownells did.
Yeah, because we didn't actually sell them, so we just literally made them for the Iraq Vet 88.
Oh, okay.
And just gave them out. So the only way you were able to get any of that stuff is if you were there.
Oh, so people cannot buy it. Okay, so this will be. I am selling this for $5,000 right now to whoever, whoever wants this awesome shirt, unworn by me. But if you want me to wear it, it's an extra $5,000.
$5,000 of 5,000 rounds, whatever comes first.
That's probably worth
there you
more.
go.
That's worth more. That's definitely a cool shirt. And drinking the KoolAid is something from my peoples. I was born in Guyana, right? I was actually born in Georgetown.
Jim Jones?
Yeah, the
Jim
whole
Jones
Jim
thing?
Jones thing, that all went down in Guyana. And I was a little kid back then when that happened.
Yeah, there were some possible negative connotations to that, and I didn't know how many people would pick up on that.
Right.
So we will hopefully not start that movement back by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
but
not
we've
that.
Yeah, we've got another fun shirt that we're in the process of designing for the October event.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So,
Oh man. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna miss that because I'm gonna be on the road doing some stuff. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone rocking those shirts.
it's going to be a fun one. I was excited about the KoolAid shirt. I'm a little more excited about the fall shirt. So
I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get this shirt. Even though
you might know somebody.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some wheeling and dealing. All right, so listen, I think this is gonna be a fun show. We've got Mike for 2 hours here, and I'm sure there's folks out there that know about CMMG. They've got questions and everything. So we'll get into like
if you roll through.
Yes, we will. I'll go back and get into those. But Lola always smacks me in the back of the head if I don't, ask you to tell the folks out there, who are you, and how'd you get into this business? How you start working with CMMG?
My name's Mike ODell. Obviously, with CMMG, I have been with the companies for CMMG. September will be 9 years. I bought my first AR-15 from CMMG at a gun show. I can't even remember when it was. But one of the things that really drew me in with CMMG is, for me, they were local. So back in the day, we were made in Fayette, Missouri. And I lived in Fayette, Missouri. And there was something, to me, just super cool about having an AR-15 with my hometown on the side of it. Not to mention the fact that the owners of CMMG I met at church. I'm gonna age myself a little bit here, but 31 years ago.
What?
Wow. I met them back then, so I knew them, and It was just one of those things that I had one of their ARs. I was working in the industry, but for a different company, and they, so the brothers that own CMMG have a ton of companies. They actually, there's a gun store that's also a sister company to CMMG. I used to manage that, and I started learning the product enough that they decided to start taking me to SHOT Show because I could speak very highly and very intelligently on the entire product line. And I did a local weekend radio show back then, off and on, and so I spoke well in front of people. So I just kind of became the face of CMMG.
Oh, right. I mean, and if you're going with a face, I mean, that's got to be the face right there of the company.
I started off with the face for radio for sure, and then I've been very blessed to be in the position that I am and be able to run into people like yourself and many other people that I've met over the years, and I'm honored to call a lot of people in the industry friend now, as opposed to just some guy I know. So if you would ask the me that was just getting into handgun shooting and stuff way back when, if I ever thought my career path would lead me to this type of thing, I'd say you're smoking something for sure.
Yeah, that's the amazing cool side, I think, of what we do. There's some downsides and stuff like that, but that's one of the cool things. Walter, did you have a question there for Mike from what he was saying?
No, I'm just absorbing.
Oh, okay. So I know behind the scenes you were saying that CMMG is coming up on 20 years. Give us a little bit of the 20-year history here. What was the first thing that they actually manufactured and put out there? And let me just get this in too here before I forget. Whammy Gunslinger, that's our friend Eugene from Whammy. He says CMMG was my very first AR-15 as well. Love the company.
Yep. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. Is I like Hank Shirt said, I drank the CMMG KoolAid before I worked for CMMG. So it was just a perfect blend. I've taken the guns out. I've abused the tar out of them, and they're workhorses. And I got sidetracked. I had to try to remember where we were going. We were talking about the 20 years coming up. So 2022 will be our 20th anniversary or 20th year in business. And,
wow.
We're still going gangbusters. Our engineers, I think we have 6 in-house engineers now, and those guys are always working behind the scenes to come up with cool new stuff, keep us relevant in the industry, trying to breathe new life into the AR platform. And I can't really go into too much detail. I'll just say we've got plenty of fun stuff coming. Hopefully SHOT Show 2022, new platforms, new calibers, new looks, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, okay. Maybe a CMMG handgun, Walter, coming out? Maybe? I don't know. I'm just making up stuff now.
Well, we have pistols, technically.
Yeah.
For now.
I know we could go down that rabbit hole. The whole race thing.
I mean, I'm a realist for now.
Yeah. Forever.
Maybe not from the configuration that we think
from our cold dead hands. Will they get? Yeah. Do we want to get into it early here? I don't know. Okay,
no, let's not start. No.
Yeah. So what was the first thing? Because I had this conversation sometimes with Walter. He was asking you before we started about Knob Creek. Remember, Walt? And Walter always tells me this story about Daniel Defense and Knob Creek, like how they first ran into them. So I was just wondering, how humble are the beginnings of CMMG? What were you guys making? What was the first thing? I know you weren't there necessarily at that time, right, but what was the early stuff?
I mean, the early stuff was legitimately pieced together AR-15s from parts that they could run across. I mean, for forever, the guys, the owners were just doing local gun shows and stuff, and they had back then what were called the trash can guns, because they would acquire a group of lowers, whatever brand upper, and just cobble things together at some point, and they just dumped them in a trash can. And you show up at the gun show, and you just pick something out of the trash can and pay for it, do your paperwork, and leave. So they started making relationships with AR manufacturers and forging companies and different companies that can supply components for them. And they started with your kind of basic M4 variant AR-15. That's what our original logo was. It was just the letters CMMG with an M4. I believe, I can't remember the exact chronological order, but early on we were adopters of the 22 conversion kits to be able to shoot 22 out of your 5.56 223.
They work well.
Jumped on the 308. We jumped on the Colt 9mm blowback system and 300 blackout. A few various offerings there. But I think, other than the 22 conversion kit, our kind of claim to fame was in 2015 when we released the Mark 47.
Okay.
And then, since then, our engineers have just been going gangbusters, coming out with the radio delay blowback and all the fun stuff that has followed.
Okay. Walt, do you remember from your Knob Creek times, you were asking about the CMMG guys? What's the first stuff you remember, like, paying attention to these guys?
I had one of their 22 conversion kits early on. And that freaking thing, I hand that thing to the Boy Scouts, a troop of Boy Scouts with a bucket of bullets, and they load those magazines as fast as they can and run it through that conversion kit, and they just shoot. And it just keeps shooting and shooting and shooting. So that was pretty impressive. So those things are fun. Those conversion kits are a lot of fun. So
was it one of the old black phosphated ones before we went stainless with them?
Probably, yeah. I probably have one of those. I probably have a couple of those around here. I know I have some that are in some containers of mine that I bought at the creek years ago, and they just haven't came out to be used yet. So I'm just,
Yeah, that was one of my first investments too. Before I worked for CMMG, when I got into the AR, because being a gun guy, you show up at the range, you take friends out, and they don't realize bullets and ammo cost a fair amount of money. Even back then, I mean, $10 to $12, $15 for a mag dump of 5.56. Even back then. First thing I did was grab one of the 22 conversions, and I would just set it down on the bench and be like, "Here you go, guys, have fun."
Yeah, I think that was a lot of people's first When I think back to it, I remember that same thing. Like when I first started getting into this, that's one of the first things people are like, "Yeah, you can get the CMMG kit, and you can go 22." I'm gonna go back in the time machine here. I'm just gonna share my channel for a second with everyone here. So back 7 years ago, one of our first videos, we've been doing this for like 8 years. So Lola assembles her first AR-15 lower with CMMG kit. That's what that video is right there. So there you go. Look at that young Hank Strange. Oh my God, that's a handsome dude.
Look at Lola. Look at like a hot.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, who is that cute? She's still cute. She's
Who's
still
that
beautiful.
girl?
Yeah,
I'm not even seeing that ugly guy there. I'm looking right past that guy. Right?
Yeah.
You were in the way there, Hank.
Yeah,
get out of the way.
Yeah. So I mean, it's and that was like I said 7 years ago. So, the company's really come a long way.
Hands down, our lower parts kit and our 22 kits are still some of our. I mean, that's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is, from individual detents and springs all the way up to complete firearms, we're going to sell every component available. So our lower parts kits, we sell a ton of them. We OEM them to a lot of other manufacturers also. So chances are there might be other manufacturers out there that you buy an AR-15 that those parts might actually be our parts. But and the 22 kits, those, even as many firearms and 9mm and stuff that we're currently selling, the parts are still a very, very big part of our operation.
Yeah. I think, Walter, didn't we modify a CMMG 22 kit to shoot a binary trigger or something? I think I still have that somewhere around here. Yeah. That remember that lightweight that little lightweight pistol that we did? Yeah, or I think I think it was an SBR or something that we made.
And that was a CMMG kit that we were messing with the bolt and trying to get it to work with the binary trigger and all that.
Yeah, we actually got that running. There's some questions here. So let me
Okay.
try to get to this. Who is it? Someone was asking about the name. Armament and
Yeah, we get that
Axis.
a lot.
Yeah, he says, what does CMMG stand for? Abbreviation, acronym. Right?
It's a secret. I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Oh, well, there you go.
No, I mean actually legally it doesn't stand for anything.
Hmm.
But there is a fun story behind it. Unfortunately, I don't know that I'm at liberty to divulge that
Hmm.
publicly.
Okay, all
So
right, there you
it's
go.
one of those things that if you can get on the inside and get in the know, it's just a little secret.
That is an
Yeah,
owner told story. That's all
yeah,
that is, right?
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I'm guessing it stands for Chris and Mark making guns. Boom!
Well, I'll tell you
I
what.
don't
One
know
of
if
our
that's who
very
the
first
owners are.
shot shows.
Yeah, Charlie and
One of our
Mark. I don't know what the. Yeah.
our CEO's name is Chris, but
Oh, there you go.
you know, one of our very first shot shows, a reporter came up to do a story on us, and they didn't know a way to remember CMMG, and they kind of dubbed us Central Missouri Machine Gun,
Hmm.
and it stuck kind of.
Hmm.
But it's not accurate, but you see that a lot out there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Some people are just making up stuff now in the chat. Brian Quick says can't machine guns. Oh, I'm sure you guys are making some machine guns over there. Everyone, unfortunately, can't get their hands on them. But yeah,
I'm sure
Armament and
you
Axis.
shot at least one of them.
Yeah, Armament and Axis says, Bummer, I always wanted to know. Oh, you're gonna have to, secret handshake stuff. What can I say? And Richard Maunder from England says, I like the old CMMG logo. I have a few of their stickers in places here. So there you go. And he's over in jolly old England. I don't know if you know. So let's see. I'm trying to see what other questions. Were there any questions that you either saw, Walter, or if you see any, Mike, let me know and we'll get to those here because there's a ton of questions. Or you guys can ask now because I'm paying attention now and I'll see what's coming through. Smash the thumbs ups also, okay? We need all the thumbs ups and everything that we can get to possibly help work with this algorithm, which is like severely suppressing. So you guys have, and this is just something that I just thought of. You guys are really into doing your own social media and stuff like that now, right?
Yeah.
And you're running your YouTube channel, all of that. You guys also running into issues. I'm guessing your channel's not monetized or anything, but what kind of stuff are you running into?
We have some monetization. It's really quick though. I'll try to go through when I upload a video and I say, okay, because you have that self-check thing you can do. You're like, no, it doesn't have this. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have this. And so it should be good for monetization. And then immediately you get the yellow dollar sign or you get a no. So it's, I'm still trying to figure out the logic behind some of that. I've watched a few of the podcasts that you guys, like I remember when you had Big Josh from Black Diamond Guns and Gear, you all were trying to go down that rabbit hole and trying to figure certain things out. And I don't even think they know what in the world's going on. And by they, I mean YouTube and Google and companies. So, but yeah, we've really branched out and we've really started doing a lot of stuff in-house. I used to always do a lot of the posts and stuff on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and everything, but we're really trying to grow the YouTube channel, and we now have a social media girl in-house. Her name is Devin, so be nice to her when you make comments on the Facebook and Instagram and everything. Okay. She is just rocking out all of the other platforms. We've got a whole marketing team in-house that's doing a little more of our graphic design and stuff, so more PR in-house. So we're really diving into the whole marketing thing right now.
Okay.
And it's an interesting challenge, but it's a fun one.
Okay, very cool. What do you think about that, Walter? You're obviously like a smaller manufacturer here, but you're doing a lot of your own marketing and stuff like that. I think you have a very knowledgeable and handsome guru that leads you through the marketing world. Just a very sexy guy.
Here's how it works. You can't do it all yourself. So because I do a lot of different things, and trying to do the posting and doing this and doing that, and it's like it just after a while you don't want to do it. That's the problem. You get like, oh god, here I gotta do this again.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot more work than people think.
Yeah, and to have something that's productive that you put out there, not just garbage you just throw out there, because everybody's throwing stuff out there, so you gotta be a little different, maybe to catch somebody's eye, or people people's attention span is like 2 seconds. It's like, oh, okay, I'm on to something else, and it's hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're talking about things like the AR platform. I mean, because realistically speaking, there's only so much you can do on the AR platform to keep it fresh. Because I mean, there's only so many times you can possibly change furniture or paint it a different color or whatever. Or we try to do as best we can to offer as many new calibers as possible, and we take that on head on and absolutely love it, because we've kind of been one of those companies that we're not afraid to try something new and try a different caliber. And the plus side of that is we have a lot of ammo manufacturers that might be trying to come up with a new caliber, and one of the first people they'll come to is us. They'll be like, hey, CMMG might not be afraid to tackle this. Let's see if they'll do it. So, I mean, we were on board with the 224 Valkyrie, the 22 Nozzler, the 350 Legend. I'm not going to comment about how the performance is of any of those particular rounds, but, we were highly sought after to get brought on board with those really quick.
Yeah. Go ahead, Walt. You want to make a comment about that?
Yeah, you start talking about the ammo, and it's like talking about AKs and ARs and Fords and Chevys, and 223 versus 7.62 by 39, and just people they're rapid about this stuff. So you just gotta let them.
Been arguments I've had forever. You got the Mossberg 500 versus Remington 870 guys.
Mossberg, hands down.
I'm an equal opportunity gun guy. I'll take them all. I don't care.
I second that right there.
I like the Mossberg. You could just right there from the thumb, safety.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, I know. But here's the thing about all the different calibers. Even though a lot of people will poo-poo that, I think it is important for there's a lot of companies that don't want to push the boundaries, right? And sometimes it's important to do that. And to take those chances, even though the companies themselves, like CMMG, getting into that, that's a good way for you guys to spend a bunch of money, and for it to not necessarily go somewhere. But because you start it, other people start pushing it further, and some good stuff has come out of folks pushing the boundaries on ammo. Not all the time, but
Well, and that's definitely one of the things we hope for. I mean, we go ahead and go forward on certain products, not sure what's going to happen. The best example as of late, I would say, was probably the Mark 57. So it was an AR that takes FN57 handgun magazines, shoots the 5.7 round out of kind of a traditional upper with a radio delay blowback. We really didn't know how that was going to perform. Honestly, little inside secret here, that initially was going to be a special edition or a limited run, because we're like, we don't know if people are going to like this. People loved it. And it went gangbusters. So we're like, all right, that's production now. We've now got a 22 conversion kit for it. And then, we have the 5.7 conversion magazines where you can do that upper and a standard AR lower. And at the same time we released that, you started seeing other companies starting to release stuff in 5.7. So
yep. And I think it's a great round for what we're talking about here.
The people that know 5.7 know 5.7. I mean, it's
I'm a fan.
It's an oddly well kept secret, I think. I mean, although it's in everybody's face, I don't think enough people really truly appreciate what the round is capable of.
Yeah, and I think it's open now to development, right?
I think so.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Walter?
But 5.7's always been a little pricey, though.
Yeah.
It's not something you throw in mag after mag in a machine gun.
It's going to come down. It's going to come down, I think, as it gets more adopted.
My argument to that is most of the stuff for 5.7 is hollow points and Hornady AMAX type projectiles and stuff. I understand they don't do plinking ammo necessarily, But if you compare the price per round of a decent defensive round compared to like a Spear Gold Dot, it's on par or less per round.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we're gonna see it get so when FN was making it, yes, it's it's on that pricey side, but there's other companies making it.
Has anybody done a old school traditional revolver in 5.7?
Good question.
You could put a lot. You could probably put 8 to 9 rounds in a revolver cylinder in 5.7.
Yeah, that would
be
nice.
An awesome pistol. I tell you.
Yeah,
what.
I mean the first CMMG revolver, I think.
I mean, that would be a kick-ass pistol.
Hang on, I gotta find my pen so I start taking notes.
You can do it. I give you permission.
Oh, trust me, people are gonna start telling you what to make here in a second.
Well,
LB Louis Cypher says 5.7 by 28 only has a few ammo makers, but before it was only FN. Like up until a couple of years ago, it was only FN, right? Yeah,
because I know American Eagle has definitely got some out now. But if you flip open the box on the American Eagle, it used to at least have a stamp under the lid that said "manufactured to FN specs" or something of that sort. So,
yeah, because it's also going to the military. That's why.
Yeah. I think as we see the adoption, I think first of all, the idea of 5.7 AR and the AR platform using the 5.7 pistol magazine. I know. Wait, you guys use the magazine, right? You don't use the FN. You don't use the PS90 magazine.
We don't use it.
That's game changer. I think, in my opinion,
the PS90 magazine does not allow itself.
Not well.
It's a weird layout. It lays flat, so you gotta have real estate to mount it.
Yeah, that's one of the obstacles we ran into. Is we like having some of those small, short AR pistols. I mean, we're talking 5-inch barrel stuff. Well, I mean, the way you would have to configure that, the magazine would be sticking up past the muzzle.
Yeah, I mean, look at the KelTec pistol now. That magazine dictates the size of the gun.
Yes.
Bottom line. So
there's gonna be some cool. I know people don't like how that looks, and I'm definitely like a KelTec fanboy.
How many KelTec guns? Let me ask you this: how many KelTec guns do you think people like the way they look? Realistically,
that's not. Look, it's like the Cybertruck.
That's not why they buy those.
It's
guns.
like the Tesla Cybertruck. I think that is a gorgeous truck. That beats all trucks all the electric trucks they're putting. If you're gonna have to have something electric, you got to go with that. But there's people who think that thing is ugly, and I was like, and I'm in. That's how they got my money.
They got you in from the aesthetics?
Yeah, I love how that truck looks. And then when everyone went against it, so like when the Cybertruck came out, and remember they did the thing where they threw that thing at the windshield. Yeah. Everyone is like, and that's it, the end of Tesla. I was like, they threw this huge steel ball at this thing, and it didn't go through.
Right.
I'm in. And it looked like cyberpunk crazy from the 80s. I'm an 80s person. I grew up in the 80s and stuff like that. I was all in. I love weird looking things. Come on now. Who wants everything to look the same?
No, I mean, back to KelTec.
Right. I'm saying there's stuff. I think there's stuff, it's like you could be so ugly that you're cute. Right? Because everyone don't look like you. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No, none of that's working for you.
Says it all.
Yeah.
A firearm can only be so dastardly bad looking and people won't buy it.
So
they'll be embarrassed
Adams,
to show it to their friends.
Randy Adams says, "I love my PMR30, not ugly." No, that is not an ugly. That is not an ugly thing from KelTec. That is beautiful. I also think that the RDB from KelTec is one of the best looking bullpups that exists.
I didn't say that.
Especially in the wood version. What do we call the wood version again? I always forget whenever we talk about that. But there's a...
That's a dream because I'll never do it because he doesn't do wood. You can't injection mold wood. So
yeah,
not technically.
We're getting good at 3D printing, or
that was more than wood. That was a lot of sheet metal work too, which he doesn't do. He doesn't do sheet metal work. So that's the whole. I mean, it'd be very expensive to manufacture that sheet metal version of that. Yeah.
And the PMR30 also is like a entry level. 5.7, right?
Yeah.
22 mag. I actually had a 5.7 pistol back in the days. I'm trying to get but I wound up selling. I had a 5.7, and I also had the PS90 bullpup, which I collect bullpups, and then I wound up selling those to get other guns. That's when I started doing this whole thing, and I really, really regret those. Although I kept magazines and ammo and stuff like that. So I think that KelTec thing is gonna come out looking really nice. I think it needs a. I hate to say this, it needs a brace.
I don't think you're going to see KelTec spending a lot of money on a brace right now. To be quite honest. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Watch what's going to happen here coming up pretty soon.
We got to fix that. That's what we got to do, so that we've got to do something about that, so we can make our guns better looking.
I agree with you, but
yeah. Or you just paperwork it,
I'm a student of history, and history has a tendency to repeat itself. So.
Yeah. So I know
Stay tuned.
I know there's a couple of chats. Let me get this one in. This is from Johnny Boy.
Money.
762.
Money.
He says, when is the ATF making its statement on braces?
They got to finish that period where they get your commentary and don't listen to it.
Yeah, we're in the middle of that.
The
I
comment
think, right?
period is good till about right around NRA show, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's this early September is when the comments expire.
Mm-hmm.
That'll expire, and then there'll be some shooting, coincidentally or something.
Mm-hmm.
Watch. There'll be some distraction, and then they'll come out with their ruling, and everybody will be crying. So,
I was kind of thinking that along with the Chipman nomination. I was like, right now it just keeps getting pushed on and pushed on and pushed on.
Mm-hmm.
Something bad's going to happen, and they're going to be like, see, we need him. And it's...
Yeah. I know right now, effectively, Chipman is kind of hung up, right? That's really not going...
Yeah, because
anywhere.
he's got
a lot of bad... a lot of stuff's coming out, and more is going to come out over time.
If you want the single reason why we should vote against Chipman or have people say no to Chipman, it's the simple fact that Feinstein said he's the leader we need for the ATF.
And done.
That's the only argument you need.
Drop the mic right there. Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of things. Yeah, look, obviously they're gonna try to pull things off. What the toughest thing that we have to try to do in the gun community is not get burnt out. I think I understand what you're saying, Walt, but we have to try to keep and there's things happening when we constantly live in the muck and the mire that these guys are throwing at us. It's tough, right? There's people who get depressed, they get really tired, burnt out on all this bad information or negative information. I shouldn't say bad information. But so we have to try to keep our spirits up and stay on top of it and fight where we need to fight. Because ultimately, their aim is to wear us down and keep attacking things as much as they can. When they let's say we got rid of Chipman, they're going to come up with someone else like that.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. There's plenty of anti-gunners that work in these organizations. They'll pull another one out of their hat,
Yeah.
Maybe they'll find a minority woman to run, and then you really have a hard time, because then if you attack her, you'll be a racist, and you hate women. So,
yeah. I mean, they're not gonna get Mike to run the ATF. They're not gonna get you.
They're not gonna get anybody.
Yeah,
they're not gonna get anybody. They're not going to get anybody that's useful.
Yeah, not for our side.
The ones that are up there right now, and that I've met with, the one dude, he's useless as tits on a boar hog. So he's a.
It's a political thing. It's a political football.
I went into the den I went into their headquarters in D.C. because they turned my .50 caliber upper into a firearm, saying that the upper is a firearm. So I went and met with them, with lawyers and all this stuff, and they all acted nice, and they smiled, and then they yeah. So
right.
The bottom line, it was a waste of time. So and I don't have 100 or 200 grand to fight it in court and maybe get somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things is there's so many things that they try to propose that even though they're not a lawmaking body, I don't know of anybody, no matter how big the company is, that would be able to really go toe to toe with them in court. I mean, that is a huge fight that, you know.
Well, the government is fighting you with your own money, but you've got to give them your money in taxes and whatever else, and then figure out how to get money to fight them. But they're fighting you with your money and everyone else's money, right?
So I saw
fighting.
LV Lewis Cipher. We had a comment here saying the ATF period is open until August 19th. I'm just asking if they're looking at that and researching, is that for the definition change of receiver, or is that the brace thing? Because we do have two fights going on right now.
Right.
And I think one of them ends a little before the other.
Yeah. Good question. I'm not sure which one it is, and they spread them out by like 2-3 weeks, right?
You know what? I actually think I might have that tab open on my computer, so I'm gonna look real quick.
And James Miller, while you're looking it up here, James Miller says each state needs to do what Missouri just did and tell the feds to pound sand with regards to anti-2A gun laws.
All right, so let me tell you what happens when you do that. If you, I mean, I'm not defending anybody or anything, but if you all of a sudden threw all the ATF people out of Florida, the government would turn off their money. And if the government turns off the money, Florida would probably get by, because Florida has enough. Has enough. We have enough revenue. We have people constantly traveling in the state. But some of these other states can't live without the federal money. They're like heroin addicts to the federal money. And if they turn it off, and now see, if I was a governor, I'd turn off the gas taxes.
Yeah,
there'd be no more gas tax. There'd be no more gas taxes going to the federal government.
No.
And I put that all right into the state coffers.
Yeah.
And I just
and Florida shouldn't, Florida staying successful during this whole COVID thing that went through, or keeping its head above water, shouldn't wind up paying for other states that didn't. And it's the same thing with the other states like that. The other states that stayed open, kept going, kept their economies open and all that, shouldn't have to pay. Ultimately, some of that will balance out if we have the cojones to do it.
You still have these goofy states, New York, Pennsylvania, California, that are still playing this COVID game, and all these restrictions of wearing a mask and all this silly shit, and it's like, it's just dumb, and it's idiotic. It doesn't. There never was this pandemic where people are dying in the streets and all this stuff, but people were scared into thinking that the world was coming to an end, and the world didn't. No more people probably died than normally die in that same period. So that's where all this is.
Yeah.
Well, it's a simple matter that the larger the collective of people, the dumber the collective IQ. So it's it's one of those things. I mean, a person, I can't remember who it was that said this, but a person is smart. People are dumb. So, I mean, you can have an individual person that knows what they're talking, but once you start getting that weird frenzy going, things spiral out of control, and it ends up being hysteria fueled by more hysteria.
Oh, for sure.
And the weirdest thing is, sometimes the quote unquote smartest people, all these really educated scientific type people, are the biggest ones that fall for these. The ones who would normally be questioning everything the government says. Oh, stay out of my bedroom, blah blah blah. They're the ones still wearing the mask.
Well,
because the government says you should be wearing a mask.
Yeah, sometimes being the smartest people makes you really stupid. I mean, it's
well, it doesn't mean
it's
you're
a human
smart.
being.
It just means you passed the test someplace. That's all.
it's a human being problem.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to get Mike to comment, because you're in Missouri, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So on that whole Missouri thing, I know Walter obviously was very excited to get in there, but you guys are in Missouri. What do you think about what's happening here?
I love the fact that we've got the bill that the governor signed that basically says any type of federal, any attempts for federal gun control and for if they're requesting assistance from inside Missouri law enforcement agencies, they're getting no assistance.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you know, I love that. It's actually scared a few sheriffs into resigning. And
They're
yeah,
scared.
so,
They're nervous.
Yeah.
yeah,
I have to
Jay-
do
yeah,
something.
there's a bunch of, there's even a little part in there too that it's a lot more under the radar. Similar to the thing going on in Texas now regarding like the interstate manufacture of suppressors and stuff.
Mhm.
There's actually a part in the Missouri thing for the Second Amendment Preservation Acts that basically states that too, but it really got overshadowed. And again, I love the principle of it, but as we were just saying a while ago, I mean, federally, they're still going to be coming after you regardless. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's okay. Who wants to step forward and be the first example being made of for the state of Missouri?
Yeah.
You know, as a manufacturer, you know, we don't want.
No,
the
you don't
ATF
want that.
coming-
Yeah.
We don't want the ATF coming in and going, yeah, you just gave that suppressor to that person not on the proper form. You know, what's the deal with that? That opens up a huge can of worms. Plus, I don't want any of our customers to be somebody that's made an example of. You know, I want those people to stay out of prison and continue buying my product, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's easy to say, but when you have to deal with it, when they kick in your door and they start seizing stuff and locking people up and going through, you have to go through that. Now, I think that the community, etc., people are going to come out and rally for you guys, but you're going to be the ones calling your wives like, oh yeah, we're basically locked up right now. So,
and they're not going to do it at a convenient time. If you're talking about them kicking in your door, they're not going to do it when you just happen to be sitting in your armory, your gun room, or cleaning your guns. They're going to catch you at the supermarket when you're not expecting it. They're going to catch you when you're in the shower or something where it's going to be really hard for you to fight back.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
and trust me, I mean, I'm one of those people that I want to fight to the end, you know, for our Second Amendment rights. It's very hard to fight alone. There are a lot of people that will say it, but you know, if it comes right down to it, you know, I'll just use I'll use myself as a good example. Being a single guy for the longest time, you know, I was always super gung ho. I'm like, yeah, if you're coming to take my guns, you're going to be taking it through a barrage of bullets. But now that I have someone else in my life, I have to stop and think about how my decisions are going to affect them too. And have a plan in place where they understand my mentality, and you know, how does that all come together?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stop being so responsible. Come on.
Man, I got older and I started getting a lot more responsible.
It's called growing
I know.
up. It's called growing up. James Miller says Jared from Guns and Gadgets reported on 2 possible cases already where Missouri law enforcement may have to leave an ATF task force or stop assisting the feds. So, you know,
Jared has done some incredible stuff regarding well, basically all the news. But he's covered
he's doing a good job.
Stuff really well too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, look, it's little fights, right? There's little fights everywhere. I think what Missouri is doing is good. I really do wish I would see Florida step up to more of these things as this is going on around the country. And I'll be honest with you, if Florida doesn't, or if Governor DeSantis here doesn't do it, I would rather see a governor from another state that stepped up to put these things in place be the one we put our support behind, you know, to try to go on and get the presidency, right? We need, ultimately we need this stuff. And before we move away from from what happened in Missouri, isn't this what the states on the left have been doing when it comes to other issues, right? When ICE is out there trying to enforce things, for example, other states are like, we're not going to help you with that. We're not going to assist with that kind of stuff. So I think that, you know, we have to balance that. Like, they can't go, oh, this is okay for us to do it when it's convenient, and then when folks on our side try to do it, they say it's not okay. This is something we're going to have to settle ultimately here, right? No.
Sure, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No one wants
You
to
know,
touch
you-
that.
you-
No one wants to touch that. Yeah.
until you get the media doing what they do for the other guys about ICE and all this stuff and putting kids in cages and all that malarkey garbage bullshit, you're not gonna see anybody. I don't.
Well, okay. So you're saying no one. You're saying
I'm being a realist. That's all
yeah.
I'm
You're
doing.
saying no one's going to care, right? That's what the
You-
media. The media is doing the "if it bleeds, it leads" thing, and that the majority of the people don't care. That's what you're saying.
Joe Sixpack, like I said before, all these new gun owners, 99.9% of these new gun owners don't give two rats' asses about the stuff going on political. They just want their gun, they want their ammo, they'll stick it in a closet, and that's that.
Yeah. Do you,
I mean,
do you agree with that, Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate throwing the term around, but there's a certain four-letter word starts with an F that people get called. But it's there's people that they don't care about the fight that's coming forward. You know, they have whatever it is that they like. You know, and I'm going to use the AR as a prime example because they're even internally in the AR community or the gun community, there are plenty of people that don't like ARs and they could care less if the AR goes away. And they're not going to stand up and fight for our right to keep an AR-15 or any gun for that matter. And if that fight comes to be and whatever happens, you might start losing people in the ranks to still be around to stand up for them once they get past us and start going for those other guns.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of just the AR-15. It's the AR-15 first, or those evil guns first. And I mean, their ultimate goal is to come after all of them. They don't care what it is. And
yeah,
then you
I think
have
all
this,
all guns matter, man. All guns matter. This is why there should be, obviously, look, there's ugly guns, but there should, no matter what, if it's a gun that you think is ugly, you don't like it, it's too cheap for you, whatever it is, they all matter. They all matter.
Ugly guns matter. Yeah.
It's a little callback. It's just a little callback from.
I've actually had range days with friends of mine where the entire purpose of the range day is you bring your worst gun.
Yeah.
And then we just run drills with your worst gun.
Yeah.
You bring the biggest FUD gun you got.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was 3.5.
There's like P3ATs and P32s and yeah.
You're gonna run drills with your 10 gauge goose gun. That's it.
Do you know how many? Listen, it's those guns that a lot of people hate on. That when I talk to the folks who are not the diehard gun guys like us, those are the guns that save their lives. Like I talk to people who P3ATs save their life. It's a lot of people like that. The guns that people call the cheap guns are the most useful guns because they get to the most people.
Yeah.
And this is something people forget. I mean, I was talking to Sam Andrews the other day that makes leather holsters about how I think I actually just put it out in the video how he was making a Glock holster for me, and I went to visit him, and some hoity-toity person that only buys SIG guns came in there and said, "This is like a poor man. Why are you even making a holster for this Glock? This is how." It's like, what, dude?
Well,
what are we talking about here?
There's like millions of these guns out there, tens of millions of these guns out there. That's why I'm making a holster for them.
Yeah, but that's I think that's the kind of mentality that you're speaking to, right, Mike?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's just there's so many people out there that just, I mean, they're uneducated. They don't care. Talking about the ATF fights that we currently have going on right now. How many people in the past year have bought an AR-15 for no other reason than they think it might get taken away from them, and it's just going to sit in their safe? It might be an AR-15 pistol, and now all this crap is going on, and it could possibly be outlawed, banned, whatever the outcome is.
They become a felon for what they have sitting there. Yeah.
But they don't even know it because they don't follow what's going on.
How many
So they
how many how many thousands have their bump stocks still?
Oh, yeah, they didn't scratch the surface of the
how
bump
many
stock.
thousands got their bump stacks and their binary triggers and all this other stuff,
Hmm.
and they don't even know. They don't have any idea.
I don't know what kind of numbers how accurate it was, but I think at one point I heard like legitimately like only 11 bump stocks were turned in.
Yeah.
It was the biggest number of bump stocks that they got was from that company. That see, this is the problem that happens. They're gonna come after the companies first. The companies get hit. Remember that company had something like, was it like 60,000? Yeah,
60,000.
So the ATF took that and threw it in a crusher. Remember that video? Did you ever see that? Remember?
But that's not over with. That lawsuit's not over with yet either.
Yeah.
So don't.
So yeah, I mean, just craziness. Okay, Armament and Axes just gave us $2.
Money, 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 money.
He says, just to call you a dork, buddy. Okay, thank you. I appreciate.
Hey, speaking of
appreciate
Axes of Armament, just for the record, I didn't pay for it. He had a comment in there earlier. He's like, "You overpaid for that cup." Actually, it was given to me as a gift.
Oh, he's hating on you because of your Yeti cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are expensive, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know there's some hate for Yeti because they did get anti-gun, but guess what? I am not going to go burn down my Yeti cups that I got.
Let me tell you, all you Yeti haters.
I'm going to use it.
my Yeti cooler that I use, I can fill that thing up with ice, and a week later there's still ice in it.
Yeah.
So,
am I going to support Yeti moving forward? Probably not. If I could find something better. Ultimately, yeah.
I might have a bear come through my backyard too. Not. So I'm good,
Listen, I don't like it when companies, go all anti-gun and stuff like that. I literally stopped wearing Levi's. Levi's used to be my favorite jeans.
Oh, jeez, no.
Yeah,
no,
and then
no.
they got into that whole thing, and I was done. Now my jeans that I have, what is it, double aught, what is it, triple aught, something, 0, whatever. Those things are $200, but I was like, okay.
Ooh.
I'm going to buy 2 pairs of jeans. Yeah, they're tactical jeans.
Okay.
This is before 5.11 was making the tactical, no one was making real tactical jeans. So these look like jeans, but you could put AR magazines and stuff like that. So it's not a cargo pants. It looks like jeans, but it is a cargo pants. So I don't know. That's the best way I can explain it to you. And it cost $200. No one else was doing it. But guess what? I bought those jeans I think 3 years ago now, and I'm never buying another pair of jeans. I don't care how fat I get. I'm gonna stretch those jeans out.
You're gonna jump off the roof into those jeans. That's what
I'm gonna, But yeah, so going forward, I'm not gonna support Levi's anymore, obviously. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's so many companies out there that they're literally just trying to pander to certain people, thinking it's going to do something. It's like freaking celebrities that decide to get on their political soapbox. You know what? I don't care. I pay you to entertain me. If you want to get on your political soapbox, quit doing what you're doing. Do like Fred Thompson did. I mean, Fred Thompson, man, I love that guy. But get out of the Hollywood limelight and actually go run for office and put your money where your mouth is. I don't care what you say unless you're actually going to do something other than run your mouth publicly.
Yes, absolutely. So let's see here. A couple of things I have to get to. And I don't know if there's any questions. One, let me share. This is from Edward Andrews. He's showing his KelTec collection. Oh, look at that. That's a KSG. That's a good-looking gun. Yeah. RDB. That's sexy right there. This is the CMR.
I like that.
And the PMR. Look at that.
Yeah, I like that.
I love that gator grip thing that they have going there. And Jackie April said Walmart house brand Ozark Trail are made in the same plant as Yeti and do just as good in testing for $6 to $8.
Yes, they do. And I picked up some of those. I was in Walmart one day and I'm walking along and there's a clearance end of an end cap had clearance stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
They had those cups for $2 a piece. I bought them all.
Holy jeez, yeah.
I bought them all.
That's where you go all in.
I'm throwing those things in the laser. I'm going to mark those things up.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, it's a perfect place for someone to come in and compete, right? And make do the Black Rifle Coffee version of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to compete making those cups like that when you have the Chi-Coms doing it, and and their sweatshops that
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, for example, like the Ozark Trail ones, if you can get them and laser them, or figure out a way to do something with them where you can get some and put your own branding on there, even if it costs a little bit more, people will support you if you're,
Yeah, this is not a Yeti cup. This is an off-brand one that I picked up at one of the department stores, but it works just as good as any Yeti cup does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let me get this up here. Shooting Gallery, any shout out to him. He says 87 people watching, only 8 likes. I don't know. It's not 8 likes.
It's 57 likes.
Yeah, let's smash the thumbs up.
It's 57.
Yeah, but we can get it to 100. So you guys just need to smash it and overcome.
It don't cost you nothing to hit the like button. I see people when they're driving their car and they don't use their turn signals. Mm-hmm. I said, "What? They didn't pay extra for turn signals? I mean, what's the deal?"
That is so funny because as I was driving home tonight, there was this brand new GMC pickup.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
Came right up behind me. We were in the turn lane, and I was just like, "Man, that is such a shame. He has such a nice truck, and it didn't come with turn signals."
Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts.
Them. You don't get charged extra for using your turn signals. Use them.
There's some horrible people out there. Before I forget this, Mike, and I know people have their questions. People want to talk about the Banshee and stuff like that. I'm gonna get into it. But I gotta ask you this first before we get off of this. Okay, when are you guys doing the bullpup thing? When is it gonna happen, man?
Oh dear.
I honestly don't know. I've seen various designs of things on the whiteboard in engineering's room at times, but there are things due to current political climates that we're trying to bump up in front of that to just make things more, for lack of a better description, ban proof. I mean, I don't know that there is such a thing. But we've got some really cool ideas that we're coming out with, trying to, get around some of the stupid nomenclature that's floating around in some of the bills. And all that's really going to do is just turn around and make other more stupid nomenclature in those bills. But yeah, I wish I could give you an answer. We have so many fun things that I've seen pop up in the drawing board in the last 5 years that just it has to get back burnered because of something, or there's so many people that keep asking us about like a 12 gauge shotgun, because I'm not sure how many of you remember back in the day we had a muzzle loader. We actually had the tamper rod was in the sling. The magazine actually held percussion caps. I mean, it was kind of a fun little thing that we had going on. We definitely looked at the 12 gauge. The one thing a lot of people don't realize, though, is I got to choose my words wisely here, or how this is going to come across.
Yeah, no leaks. Please leak something here. No, I'm good.
Well, I mean, designing a gun is not as difficult most of the time as designing a magazine. A reliable feeding magazine is extremely difficult.
If your mag don't work, you got a single shot. So
yeah. So I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, you could have this brilliant design, but if you can't figure out the workings of the magazine, I mean, it's getting you nowhere. And
that's everything.
A good, effective 12 gauge magazine in an AR platform, I know, was a huge headache forever. And that's what slows a lot of projects down. Is you're like, hey, this project's great, we're this far along, and then you start trying to test designs of magazines. Go like, okay, hang on, let's stop let's look at something else and maybe come back to that, because that is just making.
Has anyone achieved that? I mean, even like with the Saigas, are those? I know we've got a project like that we're working on. Most of what I see has to have like high brass when it's magazine fed. I know there's still some things coming out and some stuff we have in the pipeline that we're going to be testing along those lines. But has anyone worked that out?
Let me throw another angle at the whole shotgun idea.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place called Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the Turks make a shitload of stuff, bullpups, regular, everything in between, and they sell it cheap. Mm-hmm. So, and they have magazine-fed guns. So, if you're going to compete with the Turks, I mean, realistically, depending on your market, I mean, if you're going to make a hoity-toity expensive gun, then you might find a following. But if you're trying to compete with those guys, it's a hard thing to do right now, in my opinion. So, in the shotgun world. So
yeah,
and there's a relatively new kind of AR-looking shotgun that is just it's completely saturated the market now. I mean, every gun shop I go into has these things everywhere. I go into the local Shields. There's like walls of them. So,
because it's one gun design that every single manufacturer, it seems, put one out. I have one from Century Arms that's in the pipeline to get tested. I don't know how it's going to go yet. I'm interested in seeing it, but yeah, it's all the same Turkish thing, just rebranded under different names.
And most of those shotguns, the internals are all the same. They just put different plastic on them. So you end up with all these. And I hate to say it, a lot of people fall for this plastic thing, but it's all stylized and it's all vented and everything, and got little fancy muzzle brakes and everything, but it still goes bang like,
yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't do anything for me. I just look at them and go, oh, same old gun, different plastic. What I mean? Yeah. Because I'm looking for things that are internal. I like to, if I want to buy a bullpup shotgun, I want something that's mechanically or different.
Yeah.
I just don't want a Benelli shotgun stuck in a plastic housing. So
that's the thing is I love bullpups too, but I'm timid when it comes to new bullpups, because one of the things that's scary as hell is an untested platform with the chamber right here.
Oh,
right in your face.
Don't start that.
I know.
Listen. Okay. Every gun out there could possibly blow up in your face. Okay? The idea that one gun is more likely than another, okay, there's a lot of other things that are going to happen, and it's always point of least resistance. This is engineering stuff here. Point of least resistance is what you have to think about. And in bullpups, like right there is not necessarily the point of least resistance of where that thing's going.
Well, I'm not saying that bullpups are inherently dangerous or the nature of that. I'm just saying you have somebody that decides to get into the bullpup market with an untested product or less than tested product, and they decide to make that the bullpup. So it's not necessarily the features of a bullpup in general. It's the fact that somebody is trying to cut a corner in that market.
Right. No. I understand what you're saying, but that's always the old wives' tale. You just made Walter happy with that one. That's always the thing that he brings up. But like I've shot enough guns, including bullpups, to see things go wrong if something has a hot load or whatever it is, or it's overgassed, whatever. And typically, what happens in a lot of bullpups, just from the design, is it blows out the back, right? So usually, the design of a bullpup, it's got like rubber or whatever in the back plate of it, and it blows that out. So I mean, that like it's not going to blow up right there in your face. If any gun's going to blow up I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It happens to people that guns blow up in their face, and those things weren't bullpups. So
when you get your Turkish bullpup shotgun from Century Arms, we'll take it apart and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Oh well,
because I'll bring my Turkish shotgun that looks like an AR-15. And it'll be mechanically the same innards inside, just a different plastic housing. So
right. Okay, all right. I know. I get it. Not everyone should necessarily be making bullpups. I'm trying to get the CMMG bullpup out.
let me also throw a little thing on the manufacturing thing. The way I look at things.
Yeah.
Okay, am I going to spend a lot of money coming up with some whiz bang thing on a chance where I can make what I'm making right now and make a lot of them and sell a whole bunch of them right now?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
why the market is interested in what I'm making?
Yeah.
It's hard for a company just to go, hey, let's make this new weird gun and throw it out there and see what happens. In the meantime, they stop doing the stuff that they've been selling by the tens of thousands.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. That's not a good business. So.
Sometimes, I mean, if you're going to come out with I don't want to say a bad word like Hudson or something, but if you're going to come out with a
why do you have
look
to?
At everybody got a snicker on that one, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, come out right now. You remember when the Hillary plan was in place? Everybody in the world was making AR-15s. Everybody was going to get into the M4 business, and they were going to get rich.
Mm-hmm.
And we had hundreds of these little companies pop up, knocking out M4 carbines. Nothing different. Nothing. What happened to all those people when the Hillary plan didn't work?
Right. They had a lot of gun saws sitting around. Yeah.
There was,
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard for an AR company to sell an AR-15 when you could buy some of these ARs rocking a shooting gun for less than $400. It was hard to sell an AR-15. I mean,
yeah.
Unless you were doing something unique and different, they were all the same.
Yeah. What do you have to say about this, Mike? How you guys? Because right now, what you're making, what's already popular, and you already have out there is making you money, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why we're trying to come up with the different things, like the radio delay blowback and the Mark 47, and
right, because
it's still familiar, but just different enough. But taking that familiar territory and just deciding to go bullpup or something completely different. I mean that I'm not saying that's a risk we wouldn't take, but I mean there's got to be a lot more behind it than that. And that's the other thing too, is so many people also don't necessarily realize the sheer amount of T&E going behind a gun before it ever sees the light of day. I mean, there's multiple guns that we have out there that we're working on them for 2 or more years before we ever say to the world, this is coming out. I mean, if done right, there is a lot in the background, but it's the AR market is a good market. It's going to be tough to try to deviate from that. I would say just look at advancements in the current components, or advancements in things that are very familiar.
Let me just say this. Just paint this picture in your mind, okay? 5.7 bullpup. Boom. I'm just going to leave that there. Just going to leave it. Let it marinate. Yeah, let it marinate a little bit.
I couldn't see the full frame there, Walter, so I didn't know what you were doing. I was like,
PS90.
Walter's painting. Okay, listen, let's get to some of the comments or questions from people. Shooting, and if you guys see any, Walter, Mike, let me know. Shooting Gallery, Annie says, I would love to see a fixed mag CMMG receiver. He's in Mass, so... What are you guys doing for those scenarios? Are you developing anything, or?
I mean, the tricky thing there is, I mean, it's really hard to come up with a product line that can go out to this many people, but then have just little variants, off, to tweak. We do what we can in some of those areas, trying to do things that are more California compliant or restricted magazine capacity states compliant. It's really tricky to keep up with some of their law changes too. I'm not saying they frequently change. California is probably the most relevant when it comes to changing laws all the time. But it's really tricky for us to adapt a change, and then as soon as it's ready to go, it's changed again.
It's changed again.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're always looking at it, and we're trying to look at every market that we can get into. But sometimes it's You'd be surprised. Sometimes it might just be this one little part that we need to change, but that one part is through a different supplier that knows what they've got, and all of a sudden that little part adds a cost to the gun that seems unreasonable. So I mean, there's just so many different ways to look at it, and then when we're like, okay, well, if that's not feasible, now we're going back to square one, and we've got our engineers trying to look at an in-house solution, something that we can design and make and start producing in-house. Well, but by the time we get done engineering that, it's again changed. So we try to be as fluid as possible. It's really hard in the ever-changing, world of gun control and gun legislation.
Yeah. And I would say, I would add to that Massachusetts and other states like that, including Florida, right? We're going through some of those things. You got to fight for your right to party, man. Ultimately, that's the thing here, right? Because if you let a state like California dictate its own rules like that, this is how you get cafe standards, and you start getting messed up cars. And then just imagine having around the country, what are we looking at? There's maybe 20 states like that have those kinds of laws, and everyone's trying to dictate what's legal.
Yeah, every one of them has just little subtle nuances. I mean, whether it's just magazine capacity restrictions, or you can't have a muzzle device that's threaded. We recently came out with our linear comms, and one of the things we found out when we released the linear comms is in the marketing and everything around it. If we even remotely say that it could be a flash hider or reduce flash in the slightest, then this state can't have it because it's a flash hider. So I mean, it's really, I mean, it's really weird to the point that you have to watch what you say in its packaging and its materials, regardless of what it physically is or what it physically does. If you misspeak, in their eyes on how it's represented, you now can't sell to that state. So
yeah, it's tough for. Okay, Walt, did you want to add something there? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no.
I was gonna say about how you market your stuff, and I got called stupid when I said it. Pistol braces and the and our friends over at what's his company that makes the fancy
Q?
that guy, because they say he marketed this stuff as the pistol brace as a way to get around the SBR thing, and I got called stupid because I brought that up, and that was one of the reasons that ATF went after them.
Marketing is a thing.
Marketing. That's one of the things we have to watch too. Is any in-house photography and everything of that sort. I mean, not cheeking a pistol. So like whenever I have models made up for video use or anything of that sort, I request them to be manufactured as an SBR, because that way, I mean, somebody wants to see the 5-inch barrel variant of it. Well, okay, I can have a stock on it being an SBR, and it's perfectly fine for it to be shouldered. So it's one of those things that just me trying to think of projects ahead of time. I'm like, okay, I have this project I need to do in a month, and it's going to be centered around this product, but all the video that I'm possibly going to be doing or photography around it, let's face it, it's an AR. You want to shoulder it, but I can't market it that way.
Yeah. Look, it sucks that we have to jump through all those kinds of hoops, but we have to fix it. If we don't fix it, the manufacturers have to deal with this regardless, because they're the ones who are going to get visited and shown up on, which we've already gone through. Okay, let me. Gen Champ Jr. says, "How about CMMG AR conversion kit in 5.7 by 28?" Did we mention that before?
We already talked about that, didn't we?
Well, there is a 22 conversion kit that goes into our Mark 57, or it goes into a standard AR lower with a Mark 57 upper. I think some people ask for a conversion that you could put into a 5.56 AR that converts it to 5.7.
Oh.
There's definitely a lot more engineering going behind that if that's the direction. But if you're talking just wanting to be OSHU 22 out of your 5.7, we have that.
Oh yeah, that's. Yeah,
Oh, okay, that's what we have. Okay, let me get this.
Money, 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 money.
There you go.
Money.
We like money. We like money. Jackie April, if I'm saying it right, says, Hank, when are you going to do the 1,000-round dagger test? Also, do you think Franklin's hold on, what is this? Franklin's timing on the new trigger is odd given the AFT climate. So that's a two-parter. Right. So, and then shout out to Black Diamond Guns and Gear out there. I'm sure that's my prognostication says that is a Josh. Just weird like that. I'm pretty sure it's Josh doing it because they're all named Josh. So okay, the 1,000-round test on the dagger. Actually, it's going to be about 1,800 rounds, and we're testing that this weekend. So we have that dagger that PSA has been sending around the country is in our possession right now, and we have 1,800 rounds.
You got to exercise my finger to get ready for that.
Yeah. So this weekend, Walter, myself, and Babyface P, that's what we're going to be getting up to, and we're going to take it. So I think it's coming to us at 3,200 rounds. After who's it been? I think Johnny B from
704 had it last.
Yeah, he did it for Pew Pew Tactical. You guys know Johnny B. He's a big CMMG fan. I see.
Yeah, actually, I just recorded a video with him about 2 or 3 hours ago. So
yes, surprise, surprise, surprise.
Shazam!
Shazam.
Oh, boy. Yeah. So I think he's the first one to get it. It's gone through a bunch of people. 704 Tactical, I think, being the last person that got it. We're gonna get it from 32 up to about 5,000 rounds or a little bit over that, and then I believe it's going to Tactical Toolbox after that. And I know I'm missing out people. Elfsters, Rifles and Reloading had it as well. So, that's what's going on with that particular thing. And then there was a question in there about, let me put this back up here. What do I think on Franklin's timing on the new trigger? Is it odd given the AFT climate?
ATF climate?
Yeah, the ATF climate. Yeah, so Franklin, I don't know if both Walter and Mike are aware of that. Franklin Armory, who does sponsor this podcast, shout out and thank you to them, but also full disclosure, they came out with a binary trigger for the Ruger pistol for the PCCs. So is it odd timing? I think it's what we're talking about here with manufacturing. That stuff has to come out when it's in the pipeline to come out.
What are you gonna wait for?
Yeah,
in that respect, what are you waiting for? I mean, especially if you've got thousands of parts made ready to go, are you going to sit on them?
Yeah, I think the development process and yeah, go ahead, Walt.
I mean, it's all tested and ready to go. Binary triggers are not the focus right now, I don't think. So, rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, and does it matter what the focus is? Ultimately, they want everything, so you might as well. I would rather see manufacturers put stuff out, and we're able to get our hands on them than before these things go into effect, and then they can't manufacture it, because if they do, they're going to be the ones getting visited. So I would prefer to put them out and let people get their hands on it, and then we get to make choices, for example, where we go, we're not going to comply, or maybe our states are Second Amendment sanctuaries that have teeth, and don't let these guys come into the state, and all these different things. So, Mike, did you want to? I know you obviously don't work for Franklin Armory.
Okay,
yeah,
we get it.
Yeah.
well, no, I was just I didn't know exactly what question I was.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, someone's asking about like the timing of Franklin Armory putting it out.
Oh, that part.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's suspect in the slightest. I think it's just like Walter was saying, they have things they've been working on, and they've got to come out at some point. Even if it was on the verge of trying to come out, I mean, and they really had to ramp up production to try to get it out in that shorter window. I don't think that was a reactive measure. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure that they had to have had that plan for quite some time prior. Because I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it. I mean, the that little 9 mil, and it's got a great aftermarket following already when it comes to a lot of other accessories. It
Hmm.
was logical for that to be one of the next things to come out with.
Yeah, more than likely they had that ready to go for last shot show that we all missed.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So and I haven't spoken to. I do know the guys at Franklin Armory, and I haven't spoken to them a lot lately because it's been really crazy, and there's a lot of things going on there. I believe, including something that has to do with a little company called Bushmaster that's not part of Franklin Armory. It's separate, but I'm having this conversation right now. Saying that they have there's things going on there. So yeah, I think ultimately things are just in development. They have to go out, and there's no time like the present to put them out there.
Yep.
Start
Yeah,
ringing the cash register.
yeah, get those things sold. So
That's what it's
uh,
all about. You got to ring the cash register,
And not to necessarily say anything negative toward Franklin Armory,
mhm,
but I mean, you do have the influx of the FRT trigger
mhm,
that you're seeing a lot of people doing in the AR market.
mhm,
And Franklin has, they've had their binary trigger out for quite some time,
mhm,
and then you had the Fostech,
mhm.
the Echo
The
trigger,
Echo, yeah.
and, and then you got the FRT.
Mhm,
So I think it was logical for them to be like, okay, well, the binary trigger in the AR market is getting a little saturated. What new market can we go into
mhm.
that we can own that market?
Yeah, because no one's necessarily doing anything for it yet. And one of the other things I would say to people out there if they don't realize it, and we've had like Jay, the owner of Franklin Armory, on the show before in different ways. Franklin Armory is one of those companies out there that's 100% willing to fight the government. They're willing to fight California. They're willing to fight the ATF. They're willing to fight like all of these things, and that's an expensive thing to get into, right? And everyone can't do that, but they are willing to go out there and fight it, and at the same time try to deliver things to people that people want. I'm not trying to say everyone has to have a binary, but it's pretty cool. It can get expensive for you, ammo wise, but I think that they're pushing the boundaries, and then they're also willing to go out there and fight those things. But ultimately, like we were talking about, who's going to be the first one to step up? You've got to put things out, and then these guys come against you, and you fight them, and all that. We just got to make these things happen. So, but I don't know. Like, how many times do companies really, like, if there's a thing of it being like some kind of conspiracy behind the scenes, I think it's just as simple as time for that thing to get announced. And keep it moving. So let's see what else we have there. We have what other questions? You guys see
I
any in
saw
here?
somebody here that was asking what all components does CMMG make in house.
Mm-hmm.
It's my fun answer to that is more and more every day. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of those things that, I mean, the amount of growth we've had in the last year and the ability to bring in new machines,
Mm-hmm.
we're just seeing so much more being produced in house, and we have more growth for our building and facility slated soon, which is going to help us bring even more and more stuff in the house. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't know that I can necessarily go into all the details of the exact things we build in the house, but a lot of the larger components are starting to be done in house. We're still outsourcing certain small parts and springs and things of that sort because
Okay.
there's just science and machinery behind some of those that we can figure out what spring rate and metal and stuff we want, but it's easier just to get a hold of somebody in Arkansas or somewhere that has the stuff to make those for us really quick. So,
Yeah.
but a lot of the big stuff we're moving full steam ahead on doing a lot more in house. It's an exciting time.
Yeah. Can we ask what you don't make in house?
uh,
Do you guys make barrels?
um, I don't know what I'm at liberty to discuss
Okay.
on things
All
of this
right.
sort.
All right. No, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. I don't want to put any things out before you guys are ready to
trust me.
put it.
There's so much like I love sharing information, and
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could just sit there and go, yeah, we do this and this and this,
And then you have to talk to somebody.
Yeah, and then tomorrow
Yeah.
I come into work and they're like, "What did you say?"
Yeah. Yeah. You get to find out what that G means in that CMMG. No.
I'm not speaking for any.
Oh, wait, what happened there with did what's going on here?
In there.
Yeah, something happened there. Okay, everyone froze up there for a
that was
second. You
weird,
there,
yeah.
Walt? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you
here.
let the spring
Yeah.
people make springs, and to be honest with you, you let the
Mhm.
barrel people make barrels.
Mhm.
But that's just me. That's all I'm saying. It's just me.
Yeah, you definitely let the barrel people make the barrels. We've got plenty of things to help finish things off in house.
Yeah.
But it's the other thing too is relying on some of those outside suppliers too. Though certain materials are just very difficult to come by now. Also, so it's just supply is down for raw goods, but the demand is higher than ever for all of the materials and things that those raw goods have to be made into. So it's just it's tricky, and because of situations like that, it's really difficult for manufacturers like ourselves to be susceptible or to be held captive by a supply chain that makes things be out of our control. So looking at all those different stages that are out of our control, we're just slowly bringing more and more in-house to make sure that we don't have to worry about that problem in the future.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a really vague cop-out answer.
No,
but
I think
I have to watch how I answer it. So.
Yeah, and I think if we talk a lot about industry stuff here, and I think there's folks who are in the audience who are in the industry and stuff like that. You got to put a little bit of salt and pepper from what it is the industry terms of what's going on there. And the thing that I was thinking, and I wanted to ask both of you guys this since you're both manufacturers, different scales obviously. So for example, I was recently looking at the video of Wilson Combat, their new facilities. Amazing. I think that's in Arkansas, right? I don't know if you saw any of that. Yeah, and they spent like $10 million. They're doing great expansions. They've got some awesome machinery in there. I think they're doing wire EDM stuff, all kinds of cool things. As manufacturers, how do you balance expanding and getting into new expenditures, new spending and all that to expand when you're also going through high demand like we've been going through for the last year, but then but you're trying to balance that with what Walter said, that all of a sudden 6 months from now there could be no demand. So how do you balance all those things?
You want to take a stab at it first, or you want me to?
Yeah, take a look at it. I mean,
Okay.
It's happened to other manufacturers. For example, Daniel Defense. They built this ginormous building and all this stuff, and then the AR market and they're in the high end AR market.
Mm-hmm.
The AR market just took a boo, because there was so much stuff out there at such a low price point. They had a tough time, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had 20 or 30 new machines, you got a 20 or 30 new machine payment every month you got to make, and you got to have somebody to run that machine, and you got to buy the material to put in that machine. And if all of a sudden you're selling it at cost,
yeah, you got to pay the electricity for those machines.
It's not going to be very long before you're going to be there's going to be a tractor trailer showing up, load those machines up to go off to auction. So you got to balance all that. This is an interesting time because it's crazy busy now, but what happens if all of a sudden there's another assault weapons ban and half the stuff that you like to have and buy you can't buy anymore? It'll be. I lived through that in '94. I saw all that stuff. It was different times, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to. You got to. Sometimes you got to take a chance, if you're going to expand and and you got new product and you got different things, I'm not
Yeah, I
saying
mean,
don't
you're
do
still
it.
you've still expanded under all of this, and it's
I
not
just
you.
bought a couple of new machines myself to make stuff,
Mhm.
and part of that stuff I make might get banned. So I'm looking at making other things that the government doesn't look at.
Mhm.
So
And that's
isn't
one of the things right there
Mhm.
is, you know, what again? I'm not sure how many people know. You know, there are certain things that aren't necessarily made in house. You know, you might have them farmed out to a machine shop. You're like, okay, I need you to have this raw material. You're gonna make this to this spec. You know, you're gonna program your machine to do all this stuff for us. But those machine shops, they have a livelihood doing other things
right.
if we no longer are placing orders with them.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think part of what we're going to look at too is, okay, you know, what are other things that we could do with this machinery
Ah,
should that
okay.
market dry up? So I mean,
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Other widgets to make. Yeah.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
other widgets and there's other uses for that machinery.
Mhm.
Right.
We want that machinery to continue making gun parts, obviously, but you know, having that machinery, you know, it does allow a little bit of a safety net. God forbid the worst thing happens.
Yeah, and by the way, from what I see, there are quite a few other companies that in the firearms manufacturing industry that do that, that do make other widgets. Not a lot of people talk about that though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's a safety net thing, you know. I mean, I've seen this stuff happen before, like I said, and if all of a sudden things get weird, and your widget gets taken off the market, you it happens to machine shops, for example. If a machine shop is only making aerospace parts for one company and their contract gets canceled, guess what happens to that machine shop? They're gone. In
Yeah.
a couple weeks, they're gone, and so that's because they didn't have any other business. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do companies avoid that, Mike, you think, because like are they worried like if you're making this widget that's in a safe space, quote unquote, and then those people find out you make guns, they go after you, or do they hide it because they don't want the gun guys to know that they're doing the other stuff, which I wouldn't understand why. Like I don't care, you know.
That's a really good question. I mean,
I've never thought of it in that way myself. You know.
I haven't either. That's not really anything. I don't think. Man, that is really a good question.
I
Uh,
I'm a genius.
from
Let's just say
from
that.
a
No, I'm just kidding.
business standpoint,
Hmm.
you know, if we're being asked to make that widget for somebody, I think it's on the end user if they want to divulge that the gun company is making that widget or not, and
Hmm.
how that affects their bottom line and you know their marketing.
Hmm.
You know, is that going to be a well kept secret like you know what CMMG stands for? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that back up, by the way. So yeah, that's
you know,
going to be
it's
the
just
theme
one-
throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta think that way. You gotta look that way. I mean, soon as the gun world gets weird, I go into like I call it survival mode, or I start to think what are we gonna do to keep the doors open here. You know,
Hmm.
the pandemic was a good example of that kind of.
Hmm.
I mean, we were open the whole time,
Hmm.
and we were busy the whole time. We were busy before that, you know, but.
Hmm.
You just have to adapt, I guess you'll say. One thing about materials, you were talking about material cost is up. Everything we buy is up.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, I just bought some material, and I'm not buying it by the truckload or anything, but I'm buying it enough, and I sent it out to three different distributors to get, and I got three different prices, and it varied greatly. Now, some of the ones that want more money have it in stock, versus the other guy that wants it for $500 less. I just got to wait a week to get it.
Hmm.
So, but you know, there was a time when I didn't even when I was busy, I didn't even half the time check what the price was. I just called up the local distributor, or I'd send them an email and order this, and boom, gave them a credit card number, and it was here.
Hmm.
But I've gotten a little more picky lately when I've noticed how the vast difference in pricing and how much stuff has went up. I mean.
Are you guys upping prices yet? Are you passing on? Because obviously this is happening throughout the world. I'm not even going to say the country. This is happening throughout the world. That prices on everything are going up, and ultimately it has to get passed on. So is that happening yet?
It's not that bad. I mean, we have enough. I'd say this: we have enough profit in our thing where we don't have to do it at this point. But at the same time, I get these I'm getting emails from all the distributors. They're carrying all the guns out there, and gun prices are falling like quick. I mean, they're. Matter of fact, those Turkish shotguns that they were whoring out for $600 in the middle of this crazy times now are back down to $200 something.
What?
So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that Turkish shotgun you're waiting on. I just got an email from one of the distributors for $280 for that shotgun.
Yeah, I already have it. Yeah.
So at the same time as prices for materials going up, the cost for the firearms for the distributor or dealer or whatever are going down because of and now what happens is when Creepy Joe gives out another $1,400 check, the phones will start buzzing at my shop. I don't know about you guys, but as soon as every time those checks came out, the phones started ringing off to, people wanting to buy parts and pieces and
what caliber are you getting your stimulus check came within?
Yeah. Well, so are you? So I think can you? How would you answer that? Are you guys raising prices, or you feel the same way as Walter? The prices are coming down.
I mean, we're. I guess one of our advantages is we are a little bit bigger scale, so we can kind of absorb that across the board a little bit more. But we really haven't had any price increases. I mean,
we haven't either.
Since 2019, where we redid our entire product lineup, I mean, the maximum any one of our firearms has gone up since then is $50.
Okay.
So I mean, we're really trying to keep them as long as possible. Yet on social media, we have people all the time saying, hey, you've jacked your prices up. I'm like, no, you're looking at it on Gunbroker, and people are, they're bidding it up, or you're looking at a dealer that has the ability to charge, the price for the demand.
Right.
Look,
and they think it's us dictating the price, and it's not. So.
Yeah, go ahead, Walt.
When things were all nutty and crazy, people were paying outrageous prices for stuff, and not even flinching an eye. And and if you pay that kind of money for stuff, then it's your fault. I haven't bought anything major during this time because I know what's going to happen, and it's already happening. Prices are falling like a rock. Ammo prices are coming down slowly, but they got to come down because people aren't buying.
Freedom Flash Ammunition says primers $. A primer still a problem?
It seems that way.
Yeah.
But they'll catch up with that too. I mean, that's happened before. That happened after what is it? That one shooting, the school shooting. Reloading components got out of crazy and everything, and eventually everything caught back up again. So
yeah. What were you gonna say something to that, Mike?
I think I saw a squirrel run by me. I lost my train of thought or something there for a second.
Yeah. I was either gonna take a look at your social media, or we're gonna get into talking about some other stuff outside of the gun world here for a second. So which one do you guys want to do? What should we get into?
I know Walter doesn't want to talk movies.
Yeah, Walter. Yeah, Walter is a movie hater. He's a movie hater.
No, it's not hater.
So just
something about what? It's surprising. So many gun people like movies, but the movie industry is so anti-gun. What's up with that?
You know what's an even weirder thing?
What?
There's so many guns in movies.
It's the whole Hollywood crap that I was talking about earlier, where you have all the jackwagons that think they have a voice, and it's just. Oh, but I did just remember what I was going to talk about regarding adding to what Walter said regarding prices and their changes. The last time we went through this was Sandy Hook.
And
I mean, you had people that at that time I was running a gun shop, and we had $600-800 ARs, and people were buying them for $600-800. And then that weekend, they would turn around and go to a gun show and sell it for $1,200, $1,300, $1,800. and then 6-8 months later, you would have somebody that bought an $800 AR for $1,800 at a gun show come into your shop and want to sell it.
Oh yeah, please, Mister, please.
Yeah, they're like, but I paid this much for it. I'm like, I'm sorry, you fell prey to that.
Yeah, buy low, sell high. Sell high. When the market's up, you sell. When it's down, you buy stuff.
AR lowers are a prime example. When it was crazy, people paid $300 for an AR lower, a stripped lower.
And and it's like, due to that time, I got like a safe full of them, and I jokingly said I was investing in precious metals.
I'm telling you, seriously. But if we're looking at so we're not the casual gun guys. This is the thing. That should be the casual gun people. Now, I'm not gonna lie. When I first got into gun stuff and buying things, I overpaid for stuff, right? But once you get into this and you start following it, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to buy low, sell high. If you want to sell, there's people who don't sell anything. But I mean, come on.
$135 for 1,000 rounds of 9mm before the whole pandemic thing. I ain't paying $300 or $400 or $1,000. Some people has $1,000 for 1,000 rounds. I'm like, no.
Yeah. I mean, I still have my ammo from the 3rd grade, so
there you go.
Yeah, I know, because you shot all mine.
Exactly.
I mean, I haven't been into the gun industry that heavy, but for maybe the past 15 years or so.
Mm-hmm. It's a good time.
I remember when I got into it and I really got active into shooting handguns. I remember being able to go to Walmart and buy a 200 round box of Winchester white box for $9.99.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I would walk by Walmart, I'd be like, I got an extra $10, and I would just grab a few here and there. Yeah. I'd stockpile it. And I would go to the range and I would shoot 500 or 600 rounds and not care in the slightest. If I knew then what was going to happen, I'd have been buying a hell of a lot more, though.
Oh, for sure. I mean, everyone, I think would have done that, right?
I would have bought a pallet of 9mm at that 135 if I would have known. A couple months later, it was going to shoot up.
Trust me, Walter buys pallets of ammo. Well, not these days, but.
No.
Yeah, in the past.
I mean, I would have. Even when you mentioned like Sandy Hook, at that time I had receivers sitting around, but I didn't sell anything because first I didn't want to be bothered with it, but secondly I didn't have to, So this time around when the pandemic thing was going, I started thinking to myself, you know what? I'm gonna go through my safe and go through my stuff, and I got doubles of this and doubles of that. I took it to a local gun auction. That does on the internet, and people paid nutty prices for stuff. I mean,
Listen,
I was like, this is. Cool.
I know this is sacrilege to gun guys, but I sold some guns. I'm sorry.
No,
prices, because I'm gonna acquire other guns, and now I'm just waiting for dudes to start bringing back in those guns that I want, and I can get them cheap.
Look at SKSs and Mosins. They should not be at the prices they are.
$400 for a radio beat up Chinese SKS? I
never in my life paid more than $75 for one.
I can remember when those guns were $49. I mean that was a long time ago, but still. Mm-hmm. Or Mosin Nagants for $49.
And you got a case of ammo with it.
Well, sometimes, yeah.
I remember going to gun shows and guys would literally have crates of them. They would be popping open the crates.
Of the Mosins, crates of the Mosins, yeah. I bought a couple of those crates of Mosins actually.
Markets are up and down. I mean, go ahead.
And I think one of the better deals I had during Sandy Hook was I had friends that were trying to acquire pieces to build their ARs because that's how tricky things were at that point. Yeah. And I had a friend of mine. He was like, "Hey man, do you by chance have a bolt carrier group?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got a few of them." He's like, "Well, what would it take to get one?" I'm like, I don't know. He had a brand new in the box Surefire M300 Scout Light with the tape switch. He's like, "I'll trade you." I'm like, I tried not to look too enthusiastic at the time. I'm like, that's a deal all day long.
Yeah, that was when we didn't have as many flashlights out there as we do now, right? Yeah. So. Look, it's like the car thing right now. I would recommend to people, when we haven't talked about cars, you're into cars, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Walter's into cars, too.
Not so much the Tesla truck, but...
Yeah, well, you're going to be very jealous of my Cybertruck when it comes out.
Hey, I'm not saying I wouldn't go for a ride in it.
And I would put this Kool-Aid thing all over it, man. We'll see. I'll put one of those removable stickers. Anyway, so the thing is like right now, if you have extra cars laying around, I'm serious. So let's say, for example, you have too many cars, you got too many payments and stuff, go sell it, because I am telling you that dealerships out there will pay you what you paid for a car, if not more. So you can get out of loans that you don't want to get into. If you've got cars sitting around that you're not driving or you don't want, go sell them. I was just at the Audi dealership today, and they were like, we don't have any cars.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I'm right down the road
thing.
from the GMC plant in Winsfield, Missouri. And, the whole microchip shortage. I mean, they literally have a rail yard full of trucks that are done that are waiting for the microchips.
Yeah.
And the
I think Ford.
Paying,
Ford went. I think Ford put their people on hiatus or something.
GMC did too. The ones at the plant here in Missouri.
Yeah. So this is a good time to sell cars. I hope this is a
lesson learned for the auto manufacturers. I really do.
Well, but it's based on what you were saying before. What happened with a lot of auto manufacturing with the chip shortage is that at the beginning of COVID, they stopped building everything, right? Because they couldn't have their employees come in, they stopped ordering because they were ordering just in time for all the parts and stuff like that they needed. So when they stopped ordering the chips, there happens to be only one place in the world that makes 90-something% of the chips, I think South Korea. And so South Korea wasn't getting those orders, but everyone was staying home and getting new TVs and Xboxes and stuff like that. So they switched over to making that. And that's why now we have the shortage in America, because those things are still selling, and they don't give a crap about switching back, and we never set up manufacturing in America to make our own chips. So that's why we're here.
And they canceled all those orders when they didn't think they needed them because the market was down.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh crap, we need to place those orders. Even if they switch back, they're still in the queue.
Yeah, and they're not they're not getting fulfilled anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah.
So as I stated previously, I hope the auto industries has learned not to be dependent on a foreign factory for all their chips.
Yeah.
You would think that a lot of those chips are all designed here. It's not like it's designed in Korea. It's just manufactured in Korea or China or wherever the hell else they do it at. Mm-hmm. So, and it's not like we don't make chips here. We just got so lazy here that.
I could just tell you guys that in America, not only do we need to make our own chips, and these are old-ass chips that are going into cars, by the way.
Yeah, this is not high-tech stuff.
Yeah, this is not the new chips going into the new fandangled electric cars. These are the old-ass chips. If we don't we need to do that, and we also need to figure out how to fix the cars that we have and how to modify the cars that we have, because all of these manufacturers in the next 4 to 5 years are going to stop making combustion engine vehicles. That's all.
But
it's all mandated. It's all been mandated.
I don't care what's mandated.
No, I get what you're saying, but we're gonna run into walls before we fix stuff in America. That's how crazy we are.
If you can't get chips, anyways, I don't see the American public, aka car people.
But this is why I'm saying it's an opportunity, because the companies are mandated. Oh, sure. They can't. European companies, like I think America mostly is going 2030. In Europe, they're going before 2030. So somewhere between 2025 and 2030, combustion engine vehicles won't be manufactured anymore, but there'll be a lot of them around. And that's a great opportunity for us to figure out how to fix those things. The question is, are we going to be prepared for that? I don't believe everyone wholesale is going to adapt to electric cars. I don't believe that either. But what's going to happen when we run into that wall? The same thing that's happening now, like saying, oh, it's not going to happen. We're going to run into that same wall, and all of a sudden, like, what? what? Did we couldn't, no one predicted this was going to happen. People aren't going to want to buy into it, so we're going to see. Or you guys will be driving electric cars if you have to upgrade. Just think about that. This is how they get you. If you can't fix your cars anymore, right?
I know how to fix things.
If you can't get parts, yeah. Or we're gonna be like Cuba, because we're gonna have to figure out how to make these parts they're not making anymore.
Oh, I know how to make things.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
that's
But
what I'm just saying.
it's
I
an
mean,
opportunity. It's an opportunity. That's all I'm
yes,
saying.
it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes,
It's an
it is.
opportunity
Well, I mean-
that's coming in the future, but a lot of people can't see it.
What was the?
Well,
There's it's a meme now, but it's
Mhm.
it's true. Is I mean, if you think about the old owner's manuals on vehicles, they used to tell you how to change like the points in your car. Now there's warnings that say don't drink the water in the battery. There's a lot of things that have changed.
Walter loves that one.
well,
What? You can't drink that water? What?
well, that's two reasons. Lawyers is
Yeah.
one of them,
Right.
and lawsuits. That's one reason. And secondly, there are a lot of dumb effing people out there. I mean, it's not even. You laugh. You think you go. You say it's sad, but there are a lot of people who do.
Warning labels exist for a reason. I mean, there's warning labels that say don't iron your shirt while you're wearing it. It's because some idiot somewhere did it.
Yeah. Yeah. The most famous one itself, the most famous one I remember is this couple bought an RV, right? And the commercial they saw for the RV, no, actually the people selling it to them at the RV dealership said, this RV is so awesome, it practically drives itself. So they bought this RV, they got on the road, they put it in cruise control, and then both of their asses went to the back and started cooking and stuff, like making something, while the car's driving cruise control down the road, the RV. And, of course, it wrecked. And guess what happened? They survived.
Yeah, they didn't get killed.
Yeah, the dumbest people always survive.
Yeah, and they probably sued the manufacturer of the RV for their marketing.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And that's what we were talking about earlier about saying things in your advertising. I mean, you got to be really careful how you describe things to people because, or how you hold that gun or how you. I know there's some people out there that do brace stuff and they don't put that brace to their shoulder. They don't ever put that brace up their shoulder because if you do, then you're promoting that type of illegal.
Yeah. I think it's one thing for the manufacturers that they need to think about that, but me, I'm doing what I want to do, But I understand why the manufacturers roll that way. We got a couple of minutes here. We really didn't get into the movie thing. I really do. Yeah, Walter.
I'll come back and do it.
Yes, we need to do a movie night. Hey, listen, right now in the whatever time we have left. What's a movie, because we used to do movie night here, we need to get back into it. So what is a movie you would like to talk about, or maybe the folks out there can give us some ideas, and we'll see, and we'll set up a movie night, and we'll have you back, and we'll talk movies without Walter. Walter will be banned.
Oh man, I mean,
we won't even let him come into the chat.
I'm kind of curious what everybody has to say in the comments, because
Walter's giving us the bird right
genre.
now. Yeah, what movie do you guys want us to talk about? What it would be cool to talk about like a movie that has some guns in it, but I'm down to talk about. I'm into sci-fi, I'm into action, fantasy stuff or whatever. But we can do some action movies. We already did Heat. So we can't.
I just rewatched Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy the other night.
Yeah.
I have one. I have one in my queue right now that's waiting for me to watch it, and that's Quiet Place 2.
Quiet Place 2.
Yeah, I love John Krasinski. I think he's going to be a director that's going to be one to watch out for.
Okay, cool. You know what was a good movie that I was surprised
13 Hours.
13 Hours. Okay, I think. Well, we have what's his name on? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting now.
Gaetano or
no? We haven't had him on yet. We had oh man. Okay, I'm totally forgetting who was on that was in 13 Hours. Anyway, you know what I think is a good movie? Lola will remind me. We had a good movie that I saw is actually Tomorrow War. Have you seen that yet? It's on Amazon, and it has Chris Pratt in it. It's called Tomorrow War.
Oh, I have it in my queue. I haven't watched it yet. I've heard mixed reviews on it. So you would recommend it?
I think it's not a perfect movie, but I was entertained by it and I enjoyed it. That might be a good movie for us all to talk about, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've really learned to do over the years is I've lowered my expectations for movies so that way they exceed them if they don't suck.
Yeah. Well, the big thing with Tomorrow War, a lot of people. So here's the thing about. We might go a little bit late here, because I know there's some things that people want us to get into here at the last minute. The big thing about Tomorrow War, it got very political, so no one promoted it. It's a $200 million movie, and it's starring Chris Pratt. But it got political because there's a lot of people who are angry at Chris Pratt because they feel he's like a Republican, a conservative. So a lot of the media didn't even do reviews on that movie, but it's kind of gotten a cult following. So there's a lot of people now forced to do reviews and talk about it, which is interesting.
Don't make me do that, please, mommy, tell him to stop, please, tell him to stop.
So that's why I think it would be interesting. You know what? I'll tell
Walter's
you.
nightmare.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. Look, it's on Amazon Prime, which I don't know if Walter has that or not. People are saying John Wick. Did we ever talk about the John Wick movies in a movie night?
I can't remember.
Yeah, Jen Champ Jr. says Art of War. M. Gabriel says Tomorrow War was dumb. There were some things in it that were silly. I mean, oh, Tig. That's who we had on. We had Tig.
Okay, Tig.
Yeah, Tig Tegan, or Tigan, I should say. He was on. He was great. He's been here a couple of times. Netflix, Mosul is a decent movie. What was the movie with the, there was a movie with the Thor dude that's all about guns. There's some really good gun stuff in there. What is the name of that movie? Somebody tell me the movie with the Thor dude in it.
Oh, man.
They were like was he in Afghanistan?
That wasn't Extraction, was it?
Maybe it was Extraction. Yeah, someone tell us what was that movie with the Thor guy. That's a pretty good kind of like in the, like a lot of good gun stuff going on in there that we can get into. So someone says Lord of War.
He had the other one. Yeah, because I know I know he had, I think he was in Extraction, but he also had what was it, like the Four Horses thing, or man, I can't remember what it was.
Someone's poo-pooing us having movie night. So what? We can't be macho and have movie night? What's wrong with you guys? Come on now.
They got a John Wayne movie.
Yeah. Oh, someone wants to do a John Wayne movie. I bet you Walter will want to be in if we do John Wayne. That's the last time Walter was going to the movies, back in John Wayne times.
Just keep talking shit. That's all. Just keep talking shit.
12 Strong's the one I was thinking of. Tango Chaser was talking about had Chris Hemsworth in it.
Yeah.
So that was one of them.
Yeah, Hitman's Bodyguard was a good movie. So listen, someone wants to know, Lola wants to know what's coming next for CMMG. So let's hit that. What can you tell us about what's coming out next?
I wish I could really give you a really good answer to that. I know we're definitely going to be expanding our Zeroed line, which is going to be our new line of accessories and stuff. You're going to be looking at seeing quite a few things coming out there. We've got some new chamberings coming out. We've got new on top of the Zeroed accessories. We're going to have we're going to have some overall new looks coming in 2022, and I'll just say new systems.
Okay, new systems.
I really wish I could get into that a lot more, but that's about as close to
then it wouldn't
what I
be
could
new.
get away with
Yeah.
as possible.
And a new revolver, even though it was Walter's idea, you guys are going to call it the Hank. A new revolver coming out from...
Well, I thought the Hank's going to be the Bullpup.
Well, yes, that's going to be the Hank.
The Hank, okay.
Yeah, so let me get this question in. We're going to start wrapping up here very shortly, guys. Invidious Ignoramus. Oh boy, that's it. Okay. He says, looks like I missed the stream. Did anyone ask about a possible CMMG RDB that feeds from something like Scorpion mags?
Thank you for catching that. I actually saw that question come through earlier.
Yeah.
We would really like to. The disadvantage of doing something like a SIG Scorpion magazine is the magazine is so wide, it would be a completely different lower, therefore a completely different upper. So it's not really something that is going to lend itself to adapting to our regular platform. So we would really have to come up with a whole new lower and upper just to fit that magazine in. I wouldn't say rule it out. We have looked at it, but it's just not it's not feasible at this time.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there you go. Good question, Walt. Did you have anything else?
No.
Any other points? Yeah. Listen, we burned through
I've been
time real
thinking.
fast here. Yeah.
I've been trying to think of some good
was just what you
questions, and I
asked.
just haven't been
Yeah.
thinking.
Walt, we had you on here for the genius question. Seriously.
Well, we had our genius moments. Okay, we had our
Yeah,
genius
that's true.
moments.
We had a couple. There's a couple in there.
You can't expect genius for 2 hours straight. I explode. Come on.
Yeah. So listen, let's do this.
Yeah.
We are going to wrap this up. Hopefully, we'll get Mike to come back on from CMMG. I think it's been a lot of fun. And obviously, there'll be lots of things to talk about going on here in the future. I'm going to start with Walter and let Walter tell you guys how you can find out more about Safety Harbor Firearms, follow on social media, all that kind of stuff. Walt, let the folks know.
All right, yeah, safetyharborfirearms.com. There's Safety Harbor Firearms on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can check out stuff there. Don't forget about Dirtfoot Racing, the alter ego widget manufacturing part. I'm making mini bike stuff. That's what I'm kind of working on too. Which is just on Dirtfoot Racing, is on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And then there's also StenParts, StenParts.com. So check out if you need some. Yeah.
Absolutely. One quick comment in here. John Doe says CMMG spare gun ? You can totally dominate that market. Yeah, and Walter, one of the guys that works with Walter, actually has developed a gun that shoots an arrow.
Yeah, he was playing with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of going backwards, but
Right.
I don't know. It might come back down to the good old bow and arrow. Look! Here we go. Wait a second.
I mean, I got this guy.
That's old school tech. Tech.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't want those.
Sitting right over here, I have my compound bow too. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. So let's go to Mike here. Mike, where should the folks go to follow CMMG on social media? How can they stay in touch with you if they so wish to do that? If you even accept that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, CMMG.com is our website on pretty much all the social media platforms. I mean, you're looking at YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Our new social media guru, she has us on. Man, we've got a better Twitter presence. I think we're even on like TikTok and places right now.
Oh, cool! Yeah, and that's Devin, right? So if everyone goes on social media and say Devin is the most beautifulest in the world, that's.
Devin rocks. She is just rocking things out incredible. Most of the time on YouTube, you're going to be able to get in contact with me. There is a Facebook group. It's CMMG Enthusiasts. It's not our page, but it's some guys that really liked CMMG back in the day made it, and they got me on there as a moderator. I go on there and I speak as CMMG at times. But if you want to be able to interact with me directly pretty easily, I'm on that quite a bit.
Good.
Obviously our YouTube channel, and come see us at events like NRAM's right around the corner. I'm not going to get into the discussion of what people think about the NRA, but come see me. It's going to be in Houston. I love talking to people face to face.
Yes, that was the best thing about NRAM. I'll just say that. There's a lot of discussion about it, but that was the best thing. I got recharged every year from seeing all the folks out there who actually support what we do. So, that could get into a whole long thing. Whammy Gunslinger wants to know hunting, anything coming for hunting, and I'll let that be the last question here tonight.
Well, I mean, we've got a whole line of 16, 18-inch, larger caliber stuff. I mean, we've got the 308s, the Creedmoors. Depending on what you're wanting to hunt, we've got varmint rounds. We've got Grendel. I mean, we've got, as of right now, 15 different calibers. And we've got varieties from 5-inch to 24-inch barrels. So they don't get as much of the limelight because people like the small pistol brace, pistol size things. But we've got a pretty good selection. If you want to look at the really long range stuff, look for our Endeavor lineup. That's all of our 18-inch barrels and longer.
Okay, awesome. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run in the end. I think, Walter, we should nominate Mike to give us the words of wisdom when we come back from the end here. So hopefully you got some words of wisdom ready for us, Mike. I'm going to run that in. Big thanks to everyone out there. If you're still in here hanging out with us right now, you haven't left, smash those thumbs ups. It's really needed and appreciated. Big shout out to Barnauls, Performance Steel Case Ammunition, for sponsoring us. We appreciate those guys. I'm running in the end right now. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, listening. Make sure you guys smash the thumbs ups, ring the bell. We're going to rip the audio out of this and throw it up on iTunes and all your favorite places for audio, for listening to your audio podcasts. Shout out to everyone who's listening to us all over the world. We appreciate you guys. The numbers are growing every day. Mike, CMMG, what words of wisdom do you have for us, sir?
I'm going to say we just got to keep in mind that we are all in this together. We're all in it. We're all fighting the same fight. We need to get as many people together. We need to quit the infighting and worry about, is this better than that? All of this our enemies are not each other. Our enemies are politicians, and our guns enemies are politicians and rust. So everybody band together. Put your differences aside and let's win this.
Amen. Well said, right, Walt?
Roger that. Yep.
Absolutely. Walt, thanks so much. You're doing double duty this week. I appreciate it. I'm going to make you come in tomorrow also. No, I'm just kidding.
I gotta get paid extra.
We're out of here. Thanks so much to Mike ODell of CMMG
Thank
coming
you.
in. It was a great night. We had fun. Stay right there, Mike. We're out of here, guys. Peace. We'll see you. Good night.